Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you one of the most frustrating Amazon catalog problems I have seen recently. A seller updated his UPC correctly, the ASIN showed the new UPC, the listing looked perfectly fine. No suppression, no catalog error, no visible warnings. Everything looked normal. But Amazon kept throwing a matching error the seller could not relist, could not reconnect the SKU, could not understand what was wrong. And here is the scary part. The problem was not on the listing, the problem was on the ASIN. The problem was hidden deep inside Amazon catalog backend where seller have zero visibility. So in today's case, I'll show you why updating a UPC does not always remove the old UPC, how Amazon stores SKU contribution separately from the product page, and why deletion and relisting sometimes fail, the exact logic behind these mysteries matching errors, and what this teaches every Amazon seller about catalog management. So if you are an Amazon seller, catalog manager, agency owner, or brand owner, watch this carefully because this issue can happen even when everything appears correct inside Seller Central. So welcome back to another Spectrum BPO Amazon case study. Every week we break down a real Amazon issue from the field, not just the solution, but how Amazon system actually behave behind the scenes. Because understanding Amazon's logic is often more valuable than memorizing a fix. So let's jump into the case. A seller contacted us regarding a matching error. Let's look at the situation. So category apparel, sports goods, and listing status was active ASIN but SKU blocked by matching error. The seller explained that they had already updated the UPC. The ASIN reflected the correct GS1 barcode. Everything appeared normal. So yet every attempt to reconnect or relist the SKU resulted in a matching error. Naturally, the seller assumed maybe Amazon did not process the UPC update correctly. But after investigating the catalog history, we discovered something very different. The visible UPC had changed, but the original UPC contribution was still retained in Amazon's backend, and that's where the problem started. Before we continue, let's quickly define some important catalog concepts. So number one is ASIN. Think of ASIN is as Amazon's master catalog record. Multiple sellers can sell against the same ASIN. SKU is belong to the seller if your individual offer connected of that ASIN. And UPC is the product identifier submitted during listing creation. Many sellers assume changing the UPC updates everything. Unfortunately, that's not always true. SKU contribution is where things get interesting, and every SKU contributes information into Amazon's catalog. And UPC, titles, attributions, variation date, and Amazon stores these contributions separately from what sellers see on the front end. So that becomes critical. So originally what happened, SKU is a UPC A, later ASIN updated to UPC B. The seller checked the ASIN, everything showed UPC B. Problem solved? Not exactly. Amazon's backend still retained UPC A as the historical SKU contribution. Now Amazon had two different identifier contribution associated with the same SKU history, UPC A and UPC B. When Amazon attempted to process a match request, the catalog engine detect conflicting identifier contributions. So instead of deciding which UPC was correct, it returned a matching error. From a seller's perspective, this made no sense because they could only see UPC B, but Amazon's backend could still see the both UPCs. So this one of the biggest misunderstanding in the catalog management. Most seller think if I can see on the product page, that's what Amazon sees. This is not true. Amazon operates in layers. Layer 1 is what seller see. Layer 2 is contribution records. And layer 3 is catalog history. Layer 4 is matching logic. And layer 5 is backend reconciliation system. Sometimes the front end and backend are not perfectly synchronized, and when that happens, you get weird situations like this one. So most people would immediately say just delete the SQ and relist it. Normally that's a valid approach, but there was a problem. The SQ was not active anymore. Because the SQ was not active anymore, so it was not available through the standard deletion workflow. So there was no simple object to remove. The contribution remained trapped inside Amazon's catalog structure. The seller could not see, access it. Seller support could not see easily, and the standard deletion process could not remove it. So the next idea was, let's upload a flat file. Sounds reasonable, and here is the issue. Partial updates only modify specific attributes. They don't replace the entire contribution history. In fact, in some conflict situations, they can make things worse, because you are adding more contribution data into already conflict environment. Even a full product update was not guaranteed to solve the problem. So because the issue was not the current UPC, the issue was the retained historical contribution. The conflict existed beneath the visible catalog layer. So the root cause was not wrong UPC, broken ASIN, suppressed listings, inventory issue. The real root cause was residual UPC contribution retained in Amazon's backend catalog after a surface level UPC correction. In simple terms, Amazon remembered something it should have forgotten, and the memory created conflict. So this case teaches several important lessons. So lesson number one is visible catalog data is not always the full story. Lesson number two is ASIN updates and SQ contributes are not the same thing. Lesson number three is catalog history can survive long after a listing appear corrected. And lesson number four is not every matching error is a listing problem. Sometimes it's catalog architecture problem. And lesson number five is the order of operation matters. If you relist too early, you simply recreate the conflict. So at this point, we determine that Seller Central tools alone would not solve the issue. So the solution required catalog support, intervention, and backend catalog review, because the problem existed inside the contribution layer, not on the visible listing itself. And that required a completely different escalation path. So if you have ever faced matching errors, UPC conflicts, catalog contribution issues, ASIN update problems, strange relisting failures, drop a comment below and tell me what happened. I would love to hear your experience. And if you are stuck in a complex Amazon catalog issue, our team at Spectrum BPO handles these cases every single day. We work with brands worldwide to resolve catalog, account health, PPC, listing, and backend Amazon issues. So I am Umar, brand evangelist, podcaster, and journal manager at Spectrum BPO. Thank you for watching, and remember, what you see in Seller Central is not always what Amazon sees in the catalog backend. See you in the next Amazon case study.